I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years.
And I have given all the proofs of who was involved with Diddy. I have presented the videotape of Diddy's parties as evidence. Now no one can save Diddy and the other celebs. Jay-Z, after watching the rest of the documentary, you'll understand everything.
The opening sequences immediately set the tone. Fast cuts of red carpets, exclusive studio sessions, luxury cars, and high-profile media appearances flash across the screen. We see 50 Cent's eyes, focused and determined, narrating over archival footage of Diddy and Jay-Z, two of the most influential figures in the music industry. The montage isn't just for style, it's a statement. From the very first frame, the audience understands that what they are about to witness is not surface-level celebrity drama. This is a deep dive into the mechanics of fame, power, and manipulation. To understand the magnitude of these revelations, the documentary first lays down the historical context. The East Coast hip-hop scene, long characterized by rivalry and competition, forms the backdrop. Interviews with former executives, producers, and insiders outline how hip-hop was not just about music, but about establishing dominance, controlling narratives, and building empires. Diddy, with his relentless business acumen, and Jay-Z, with his methodical approach to influence, carved out spaces that allowed them to dictate culture, trends, and media perception. They weren't just artists, they were power players. 50 Cent, positioned both as a commentator and participant in this world, begins to reveal his perspective on the unfolding drama. He explains how public personas often mask complex business strategies and personal conflicts. Through archival interviews, private studio footage, and behind-the-scenes clips from award shows and media events, viewers are offered a glimpse of the subtle power plays that the general audience rarely sees. The documentary emphasizes that what appears as friendly competition is often a calculated strategy for dominance. Every handshake, every casual photo op, every public statement is dissected to reveal layers of intention. Before we move into the shocking revelations of this documentary, make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any part of this explosive series where 50 Cent takes us behind the velvet curtain of Diddy and Jay-Z's empire, exposing secrets that have been hidden from the public for decades. This is more than a story about music, it's a story about power, influence, betrayal, and strategy, told by one of hip-hop's most candid voices. Key scenes from this first part focus on the early 2000s, when Diddy's empire was at its peak and Jay-Z was consolidating his influence both as an artist and as a business magnate. The documentary revisits pivotal moments, record deals, collaborations, media appearances, and high-profile conflicts. Each moment is framed through the lens of strategy, showing that success in this industry requires more than talent. It requires foresight, negotiation skills, and the ability to control narratives. The audience is introduced to the tension between personal loyalty and professional ambition, a recurring theme that will be expanded in the following parts. The tone of the documentary in Part 1 is deliberate and investigative. Slow pans over empty studios, dimly lit boardrooms, and quiet recording booths contrast with fast-paced montages of concerts, award ceremonies, and public appearances. This visual contrast underscores the duality of the industry. The glitz and glamour the world sees versus the meticulous, sometimes ruthless planning behind the scenes. 50 Cent narrates these contrasts with sharp, precise commentary, mixing storytelling with critique, making viewers understand the stakes and the personalities involved. Part 1 also introduces the first hints of tension between Diddy and Jay-Z, teasing the exposés that will come in Part 2. Without giving away too much, subtle details, a suspicious glance in archival footage, a missed meeting, or a strategic comment in an interview signal underlying rivalries. 50 Cent points out how these small incidents, when connected, paint a picture of calculated influence and competition that the public rarely perceives. The audience is left with anticipation, fully aware that the next segments will delve into more shocking revelations. By the end of Part 1, viewers understand the framework. This is a story about more than music. It's about the business of influence and power, where every decision has consequences, and every public action may conceal private strategy. The documentary closes the first segment with a montage of fast cuts, flashes of studio sessions, paparazzi moments, and intimate interviews, setting the stage for the deeper dives to come. The audience is primed for part two, where behind-the-scenes negotiations, strategic rivalries, and untold stories of Diddy and Jay-Z will be fully explored, leaving no stone unturned. As part two begins, 50 Cent takes us deeper into the inner workings of Diddy and Jay-Z's empires, moving beyond public personas into the hidden corridors of influence. The camera lingers on dimly lit recording studios, empty boardrooms, and luxury offices, emphasizing that what the public sees is only a fraction of the story. 50 Cent's voice narrates over archival footage of Diddy at Bad Boy Records and Jay-Z strategizing at Roc Nation, highlighting that music and business are inseparable in their world. Before diving deeper, there's a subtle reminder to like, share, and subscribe, reinforcing the idea that this story is ongoing, and explosive audiences need to stay tuned for each revelation. The documentary immediately examines Diddy's approach to empire building. Interviews with former executives and producers reveal that Diddy's genius was as much about branding as it was about music. He understood the power of narrative and perception, carefully controlling every media appearance, every album release, and every public feud. 50 Cent emphasizes that this strategy was not born from whimsy, but from a calculated understanding of cultural influence. The documentary juxtaposes Diddy's studio work with flashes of his business meetings, luxury lifestyles, and public feuds, showing how carefully he maintained an image of dominance while operating behind the scenes with ruthless precision. Next, attention shifts to Jay-Z, whose methodology contrasts sharply with Diddy's flamboyance. Jay-Z is portrayed as the strategist, the silent operator who calculates moves meticulously before making them public. Archival interviews, award show clips, and private studio footage illustrate how he balanced music, business, and personal branding. The documentary presents a series of strategic decisions, key collaborations, business acquisitions, and carefully timed public statements that reveal Jay-Z's skill in consolidating power and influence. 50 Cent narrates these moments with critical insight, highlighting that even minor events, like selecting a specific media outlet for an interview or delaying a public announcement, were deliberate moves in a larger chess game of influence. Part 2 also begins to explore the complex, often hidden tensions between Diddy and Jay-Z. The documentary highlights instances where their business paths overlapped, including high-stakes collaborations, joint events, and competitive strategies in signing artists. Small gestures, a missed handshake, a subtle eye roll during an interview are dissected as signals of underlying rivalry. Former industry insiders share stories of backstage negotiations where egos clashed and alliances shifted rapidly. The narrative underscores that these men were never simply competitors in music. They were rivals in perception, influence, and the broader business of cultural dominance. One of the most compelling sections of Part 2 is the analysis of studio politics. 50 Cent narrates behind-the-scenes battles over creative control, production decisions, and artist management. Footage of recording sessions shows intense debates over beats, lyrics, and collaborations, highlighting how every choice could affect reputations, careers, and alliances. The documentary portrays these moments not as petty arguments, but as calculated negotiations, where even a minor decision could shift power balances in subtle but meaningful ways. 50 Cent points out that these dynamics are rarely visible to the public, but are critical to understanding how influence and loyalty operate in this world. As the narrative progresses, the documentary introduces personal dimensions, examining how loyalty and friendship were tested under pressure. Former associates describe situations where artists and executives had to navigate conflicting interests, protect their own careers, and align strategically with either Diddy or Jay-Z. 50 Cent provides candid commentary, emphasizing that in this high-stakes environment, personal relationships were constantly intertwined with business strategy. The audience begins to understand that fame, wealth, and influence in the music industry come at the cost of trust, privacy, and sometimes morality. By the end of Part 2, viewers have a clearer understanding of the intricate strategies that underlie Diddy and Jay-Z's public personas. The documentary does not simply depict rivalries or drama, it contextualizes these moments within a larger narrative of empire building and cultural dominance. Archival footage of private meetings, public appearances, and studio sessions reinforces that every action, public or private, was part of a broader plan to control the narrative and maintain influence. The segment closes with a teaser of explosive revelations to come, untold stories of behind-the-scenes conflicts, secret alliances, and power plays that shape the careers of countless artists and executives. The audience is left with anticipation, knowing that Part 3 will expose the most surprising and controversial aspects of Diddy and Jay-Z's interactions, revealing truths that have remained hidden for decades. As Part 3 opens, 50 Cent's narration pulls viewers into the most controversial aspects of the story: the feuds, the conflicts, and the hidden agendas that define the relationship between Diddy and Jay-Z. Before the tension unfolds, there's a subtle call to action: like, share, and subscribe, reinforcing that this is a must-follow expose with secrets and revelations that will continue to shock audiences. Archival footage flashes across the screen: award shows, crowded red carpets, and high-profile collaborations, all overlaid with hints of tension that most fans never saw. The documentary emphasizes that public appearances often masked a far more complex reality behind closed doors. The first focus is on key incidents that escalated tension between Diddy and Jay-Z. 50 Cent details moments where strategic decisions, album release dates, signing rising artists, and business partnerships appeared innocuous, but were in fact carefully calculated moves to outmaneuver the other. Former producers and insiders describe how small gestures, such as a delayed tweet, a subtle media interview, or a carefully chosen collaboration, were all coded messages to one another. These seemingly minor actions often spark speculation in the media, but behind the scenes, they represented calculated plays in a much larger game of influence and control. 50 Cent's narration cuts through the hype, explaining the real implications of these moves. Next, the documentary dives into Diddy's perspective. Interviews with longtime associates reveal that Diddy viewed Jay-Z's rise not only as competition in music but as a challenge to his authority in the business world. Diddy's meticulous control over branding, media appearances, and artist management is highlighted as both genius and defensive strategy. Archival footage shows Diddy in the studio, in board meetings, and on television, always projecting confidence, charisma, and control. 50 Cent narrates that Diddy's outward flamboyance and media savvy were often misinterpreted by the public, but they masked a calculated, disciplined approach to maintaining dominance. The audience begins to understand that in this world, perception is power, and Diddy mastered the art of shaping it. In contrast, Jay-Z's methods are explored as more discreet but equally powerful. The documentary shows him navigating alliances, timing album releases, and negotiating business deals with precision. Former Roc Nation executives describe how Jay-Z would orchestrate events to maintain a strategic advantage, often using the media to create narratives favorable to his vision. The documentary emphasizes that Jay-Z's approach was less about overt displays and more about subtle influence, building networks, creating loyalty, and maintaining a perception of untouchability. The tension between Diddy's boldness and Jay-Z's strategic restraint forms the central thread of Part 3. A pivotal segment focuses on explosive feuds and industry fallout. 50 Cent highlights stories that have never been widely reported: disagreements over artist signings, subtle sabotage of media narratives, and private conflicts that shape careers. Former insiders recount moments when collaborations were canceled, public appearances were tense, and loyalty was tested at every turn. These revelations demonstrate how the stakes extended far beyond ego. They were about power, influence, and control of the industry itself. 50 Cent's narration underscores that in this high-stakes world, even a small misstep could have long-lasting repercussions for everyone involved. Part 3 also examines the human cost of these conflicts. The documentary presents interviews with artists and associates caught in the crossfire, forced to navigate the pressures of loyalty and survival. Stories emerge of rising stars whose careers were affected by these rivalries, illustrating how Diddy and Jay-Z's personal strategies had tangible consequences for others. 50 Cent's voice brings context, reminding viewers that while the public perceives music as entertainment, behind the scenes it is a complex web of influence, competition, and sometimes ruthless maneuvering. As the segment closes, The narrative foreshadows the most shocking revelations to come in Part 4. Archival footage hints at secret meetings, undisclosed negotiations, and previously unknown alliances that shifted the balance of power between Diddy and Jay-Z. 50 Cent teases that the next part will expose betrayals, secret collaborations, and strategic maneuvers that have remained hidden from the public eye for decades. Viewers are left with a sense of anticipation, knowing that what they have seen so far is only the surface and the most explosive truths are still to be revealed. Part 4 begins with a gripping reminder to viewers. Like, share, and subscribe if they want to keep up with the most shocking revelations about Diddy and Jay-Z. 50 Cent's narration sets the stage for the most explosive segment yet, highlighting secrets and betrayals that the mainstream media has largely ignored. Archival footage shows the pair at industry events, smiling and shaking hands, but 50 Cent interrupts this facade to reveal the tension simmering beneath the surface. The contrast between public appearances and private dealings forms the core of this segment, exposing the delicate balance between image and influence in the music industry. The documentary dives into previously unreported stories of betrayal, beginning with insider accounts of failed negotiations and broken alliances. Artists who were once loyal to one camp suddenly found themselves courted by the other, creating a network of tension and uncertainty. 50 Cent's narration explains that in an industry where perception equals power, even the smallest act of perceived disloyalty could have enormous consequences. Former executives recount moments where Diddy and Jay-Z each maneuvered to secure exclusive deals, sometimes undermining the other without public acknowledgement. These accounts highlight the complex interplay of strategy, ego, and control, illustrating how influence is carefully orchestrated behind the scenes. Diddy's perspective is explored through a series of intimate interviews and archival footage. Former collaborators describe how he maintained a tight grip over his network, often using subtle intimidation and strategic partnerships to stay ahead. Diddy's public persona of confidence and flamboyance is contrasted with a meticulous, almost ruthless approach to decision-making. The documentary emphasizes that Diddy's brilliance lies in his ability to project dominance while simultaneously orchestrating a web of influence that few could detect. 50 Cent's voice underscores that these moves were not about personal grudges alone. They were deliberate efforts to secure legacy, power, and financial dominance in an industry driven by perception. In parallel, Jay-Z's tactics are dissected with equal detail. Interviews with former Roc Nation insiders reveal his preference for quiet influence, building alliances through negotiation, timing, and strategic exposure. Jay-Z's ability to anticipate the moves of competitors, including Diddy, is emphasized as a critical factor in maintaining his position. The documentary presents key moments where Jay-Z leveraged media narratives, orchestrated album releases, and created partnerships that not only strengthened his brand, but also subtly countered Diddy's initiatives. The contrast between Diddy's aggressive visibility and Jay-Z's discreet influence forms a narrative tension that carries throughout Part 4. One of the most shocking elements of this segment involves accounts of secret collaborations and covert alliances. 50 Cent narrates how both Diddy and Jay-Z sometimes work behind the scenes to influence decisions in ways the public would never see. Former insiders describe situations where deals were quietly brokered, deals were rescinded, and information was strategically leaked to control outcomes. These revelations underscore the documentary's central thesis. The music industry is not just about talent or creativity. It is a complex battlefield where information, perception, and timing dictate success. The human cost of these power plays is highlighted next. Artists, producers, and executives share stories of navigating pressure from both sides, revealing how careers could be shaped or destroyed by being in the wrong place at the wrong time. 50 Cent's narration emphasizes the harsh reality that loyalty often comes with significant risk, and that survival requires both strategic thinking and careful observation. The documentary shows that the stakes are not abstract. They are deeply personal, affecting relationships, reputations, and livelihoods. Part 4 concludes by teasing the ultimate revelations to come in Part 5. 50 Cent hints at moments of reckoning, betrayals that had lasting consequences, power struggles that redefine careers, and personal conflicts that were previously hidden from the public eye. The audience is left with a sense of anticipation, understanding that what they've seen so far is only the tip of the iceberg, and that the final part will expose truths that will shock even the most devoted fans. The segment closes with a lingering question. In a world where image and influence collide, who truly controls the narrative, and what sacrifices are made to maintain power?